You're watching the Tesla Life, live with your host, Mark Hogland.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 386 on the 20th of November, 2024. Although I really can't tell it's November because we're getting a lightning and thunderstorm here now, which is unusual for that late in the season. But with me, as always, we have Mr. Casey Green joining us from somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. How are you today, sir?
Indeed. I'm pretty jazzed at that Starship launch yesterday. That was something. Was it yesterday? Day before? Either way,
Yes.
It was awesome. And I wasn't expecting the tower to be the reason why they would not do a catch. But there it was.
And what was the reason the tower wouldn't do the catch? Did they say? Was there an anomaly with the tower or the hydraulics?
It suddenly was no longer testing good, even though it was testing good before the launch. That was the last I heard.
Okay.
Somebody said, what did it say? Basically, they said that the tower port's all clear, and they put the word lie creatively somewhere in there, and it was funny. The tower lies that it's all clear.
The tower was saying, I don't need this stress today. We're just going to abort this one.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that with the catch.
Yeah.
Normally, if a landing fails, they lose the rocket. But here, they could lose the rocket and the tower.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
they would have tried.
They want to be doubly sure because that second tower is not finished yet. So they would like that to be completely operational before they have an emergency like that, for sure.
That would be spendy.
All with us is Mr. Patrick Connor joining us from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I am good. Hello, Tesla Nation. You said you're having some strange weather. The whole west coast of North America is having some strange weather. It's there's lots of Washington State on the coast that they've lost power, and it's kind of funny. Northern California and Southern Oregon are getting a bunch, and Washington's getting a bunch. But my little Northern Oregon part has been mostly skipped over relative to. We've had some high winds, some trees that are down. But not as bad as the other areas are getting. In fact, FSD was driving, I should say, and there was a tree that was down in the road, and there was a crew there that was taking care of it, and so they had cones, and it handled it perfectly. Went crossed the double yellow, and went around it, and then got right back in. It was really impressive because construction is one of those things that's complicated for humans, right? I mean, You don't know, do they have enough cones? Do they have them in the right place? Is it obvious where they want you to go? And so that was pretty cool. And then because there are power outages and trees falling down and stuff, I jacked up the reserve on my power walls up to 80%. So I still have a little bit to do some energy arbitrage, but I have it the other way. I only have a 20% reserve, and I use most of the battery for arbitrage. But right now I'm a little worried about it, so I'm the other way.
Okay. Very good.
Programming note before we get started, we mentioned that the Tesla towing indicators would be coming soon. They have started to arrive with the latest updates, and there's an update for the app that just came out, according to Tesla Charging, that you can report issues at Tesla charging locations at any time. Our systems are auto-detecting charge performance, but sharing issues related to access, cleanliness, or damage can help us improve site experience faster. They'd asked me, I did a local supercharge the other day, and they're like, yeah, how'd you like it? I said, well, the first place I plugged in, there was dead fronts stuck from like a Model 3 or Model Y stuck in there, so I had to go because it couldn't connect. And I assume somebody went out and cleaned out the handle, because I did the thing with your shoe where you beat it against the sole of your shoe, and they didn't fall out. So
right
at that point.
Yeah, I could not get them out of mine either until I eventually used some needle nose pliers and was able to get down and pull them out. It was not easy. Yeah. Because from my Model X, the dead fronts got stuck in there, and I never noticed it because when I plugged into the Model X, they went right back where they were supposed to be.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah, and so then when we got our Model Y, I'm like, why won't this handle go in? Oh no, these aren't compatible. and that's not what it was at all.
That's interesting that now they're going to allow in the app for you to report issues with physical damage or problems. That's smart. Should have been there a while ago, because you know that your traveling public will be happy to send a note in if there is an issue with a charger or they notice something wrong. It can be notified immediately for one of those physical damage type things.
Yeah, because like obviously they'll see if there's an error, like when my car decided to croak on the supercharger, but stuff like the dead fronts, it'll take them a while to figure out, because you got to get a statistical model like, hey, it's been a month and nobody's used this stall. There's got to be something wrong with it.
Right.
Exactly.
That's hard to determine.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they that this has only come about now. It's been a bit of time.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people were calling. Like,
yeah, they used to have a phone number on there,
because that used to be the only option you had to do. So
yeah.
Anyways, we'll see how that works. Our first story, we want to talk about a new action figure that has come to light. And actually, I've got a photo of it, of the action figure. Let's grab that. Here we go. And we've got ourselves
boyfriend
and an Optimus. Exactly. Got an Optimus. You've got it looks like one of the hammer or the axe it's got. So Thor-like abilities. And I'm thinking the stand with Tesla. I think that's the charge stand. I think that's
the one we set dock the back on.
Yeah. So even the action figure can dock itself and charge itself back up. Now this came out just a couple days ago, and of course it was immediately sold out. In fact, it broke the website. The shop website went down because of the number of people that were trying to order this. And there is talk that this will come out again, some believe, just before Christmas. So if this is something on your list, you're going to have to be kind of watching the shop website like a hawk if you want to get one, because they think there's going to be a little bit of restocking going on sometime before Christmas. Typically is what Tesla does with a hot item like this. They don't release them all at once. And this certainly qualifies as a hot item because it was sold out in a matter of hours as opposed to some other stuff.
And you can sign up for the wait list. So if you want one, even if they're sold out, sign up for the wait list and they'll notify you when they put more in stock.
I'm going to have to do that because Moto is obsessed with robots. Both loves them, adores them, and is afraid of them, depending on which one.
Well, that's an interesting combo.
Yeah. We just watched yesterday. She was enthralled. And,
I don't know how old you should be to play with this toy. There might be an age restriction. There's some little parts there. So be careful.
There may be, maybe small parts. Certainly the hammer or axe is going to be a problem, but
yeah, you wouldn't want a cyber sledge stuck up somebody's nose.
Exactly. That could be a problem. That definitely could be a problem. And I don't have this in the notes, guys, but I thought I would share this as well. We talked about this at the beginning, Casey, with the trailer. I just wanted to show the new screen that shows up inside the car. And there's a shot of it looking at the map. And you can see at the top that it's now indicating that it's trailer friendly on this particular site. So
was it Lars or one of the execs pointed out they'll be putting out trailer friendly signage. So
like on site or in site.
Yep. Like a gray version of the old red signs, and it'll just say trailer friendly, use last, just like it does with the disabled access.
Yeah. And hopefully what will happen, as we mentioned, is that if with the multiple ways that Tesla could figure out if you're towing a trailer or not, maybe what it does is when you're approaching supercharger sites, it does show the trailer friendlies first, or it gives you some sort of a prompt. Hey, it appears that you're towing a trailer. Would you just like to see trailer friendly sites first, or something like that?
The moment it puts them at the top of the list, and it's only using if you're in trailer mode. So on S or X, I'm sorry, Cybertruck or X in the US, when you plug in the lights, and then the rest of the world, same thing when you plug in the lights, it'll auto. And I guess the Y as well. I don't know if the US S will do it, but it can tow, and the US 3 cannot, while as everyone else's Model 3 can tow. But you plug in the lights, auto puts it in trailer mode, and if it doesn't for some reason, you can manually put it there, and then that puts this logic in play. And they show up right at the top.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. We start doing that, and then the car can figure out. You have to, give the occupant the ability to say, "No, I'm not interested." But other than that, I think that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, like if you've got like a pop-up tent trailer, for instance, like a little coffin-sized thing, you might not want to stop at a 72 kilowatt charger because it's got space for a trailer, when you could just unhook that thing with 2 fingers and put it out of the way at a V3 or faster.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They can't know everything about how easy it is for you to detach, or whether you're interested in that or not, or all those. But it is cool that right now on a lot of routes, there's a lot of choices they could make. Like they could have you stop fewer times, or you could stop at this one or the next one, depending on whatever. And now if they know you're towing, they can include that in that calculation and then prefer to have you stop at the trailer friendly spots.
Yep, and they're using that as well as you may have seen it on your travels where it says 3 cars are en route, or there'll be a 5-minute wait when you get here. That is the mothership is basically orchestrating all these charges. They know who's going where and what it's already told you for charging. And that's why sometimes, even though there's nothing wrong with your route and the supercharger isn't full, you'll see it sometimes reroute you to a different supercharger, either further along or closer to the one that initially told you. Even though you're not having a range problem and there's nothing wrong with the station, they're like, yeah, let's just balance this out better so that they're managing demand, they're managing demand charges, congestion, because somebody might be going to that one that you're going to, and they'll take the last stall, and that's all they can make. Whereas you just had 4 choices on your case, so like, okay, we'll pick this one instead of making you wait.
Yeah. Very good. And hello to Lee Moon, Hockey Day, and Slower Cuber that have joined us in the chat room. Next story, Patrick Scott going to talk a little bit about some battery discussions. That's
right. So it's titled, Tesla's 4680 battery cell will never be successful. So this comes to us from Teslarati, and it's by Zachary Visconti. So that comment comes from the chairman of China-based battery giant CATL. He said that he doesn't think that the 4680 will be successful in the long run. So he told this to Elon Musk, and that his quote was, "This battery is going to fail and never be successful," according to a report from Reuters. So Zhang made this statement to Musk at a meeting and during the Beijing visit in April. He also said that Tesla CEO was equipped to handle other technologies other than battery cells. His quote goes on further to say, "We had a big debate and I showed him. He was silent. He doesn't know how to make a battery. It's about electrochemistry. He's good for the chips and the software and the hardware and the mechanical things." So for context, Tesla's just announced that they've produced their 100 millionth 4680 battery cell at Gigafactory, Texas. And this is after just in June, they reached 50 million. So that's another 50 million since June of this year. So that's a lot of unsuccessful cells.
Right. So they were using the CATL cells in the entry level models of several of their cars, and they still are in the Megapacks and Powerwall 3s. But exactly, I'm wondering if this reporting is accurate as stated. I'm wondering if that might change.
So So Zhang thinks that he won this debate because Musk was stunned into silence by how right he was. And I have a different take on what Musk might have been thinking at that moment. He might have been thinking, "You're an idiot and you don't know what you're saying." But
I
I
need
don't
batteries,
want
so
to
I'm not going to do anything.
exactly. But you're a partner, and I need as many cells as I can get from as many people as I can get them from. So I'm not going to tell you what I really think. I'm just going to say nothing and let you think what you want to think, and I'll just keep succeeding while you doubt me.
Yeah, as many
That's my guess.
I like the list of things you read off, Patrick, that Musk was good at, and just batteries are the only thing that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But the other 6 or 8 things he's really good at, but not batteries.
Right. Yeah.
He's not going to pass up any solutions, but to say that he knows nothing is not an accurate statement, no matter what your opinion of the guy is. He is intelligent, and he can grok a concept, even if he's not as good at coding as he used to be, or his engineering is best done by dictation. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have the concept in his head.
Or if CATL has these engineers that are so much better, then okay, why don't they make battery cells that are so much better than what Tesla's producing and dominate the market? So yeah, the whole industry moves forward together, and Tesla's doing some things that are innovative with the 4680. We saw all that on Battery Day, and some of them are going to work great. Some of them maybe won't be yield the improvements that they hoped for, but that's okay. You learn those lessons, you make changes, you do a Rev 2, a Rev 3, and you keep going.
Yeah, I was talking on Sunday about a competitor to them both that just submitted their test batch to a U.S. battery consortium that charges 0 to 90 in 15 minutes, and it's only good for probably about 1,000 cycles. But if it's cheap enough, then being not as long-lived could be made up for, or you could put in an application that really needs the speed, because they pointed out that it is within spitting distance of what Elon has said we need for electric flight, like commercial flight.
Wow.
Yeah,
that would be impressive.
Yeah,
there's lots of really new cool stuff coming.
Yeah, so it's it's kind of interesting as well that CATL or CATL, they do lead the industry. Like they are the largest battery maker in the world currently, by a bit of a long shot too. I think they lead the market quite a bit. And the other thing is to mention is that Tesla came out with this new cylindrical battery that CATL was not using. They're using prismatic. They're using the squarish type batteries that you can fit into vehicles that way. And of course, Tesla's bought them and continues to do business with CATL. As Patrick has mentioned, you're really not going to slice your nose off to spite your face. You want those batteries. You don't want any repercussions, because you may say that that the chairman doesn't know what he's talking about. So you probably keep that to yourself. But it is interesting that that Tesla has gone this new way with a cylindrical battery that's larger, wider, bigger. And as mentioned in Battery Day, they did want to make it for a number of reasons, for efficiencies. And as Patrick has mentioned, you're not necessarily going to hit a home run in all the items that you were trying to check off on the first go round. And certainly, this has been a longer period of time than Tesla had wanted these 4680s to take. But now that they're producing them in volume, they are able to start looking at multiple iterations based on what's successful and what's not. And just like their cars, like their software, like anything they seem to do, this is a game of iteration. It's to make it the best you can, and then move on from that point with your results, and make changes and modifications to make the next set even better. And I don't see that changing in Tesla's DNA. That seems to be all they do.
Yeah. I'm convinced there was some motivated reasoning here. So, I mean, if CATL, if they can convince Tesla to stop making cells and just supply more to them, they would love that. So I think that might be a little bit of the subtext.
Could be. Yeah. Absolutely.
So tendentially to that, I've got kind of something's going on right now. Seattle has 500,000 people without homes. I'm sorry, 500,000 homes without power, and they said that every gas station in his neighborhood is closed. Even those with generators have no internet or staff to process the transactions. Do you know what is open? So that's from MDR. We've always said, they can try out some generators, but unless they're
if there's no internet, you can't charge for it.
So they need themselves a power share Cybertruck or some power walls and some Starlink to get back in business after a storm.
You should be able to do a credit card transaction and cache all that information, and then once you actually get connected, send it all to whatever credit card processing company.
Only problem is that if it's a bad card or there's an issue with it, you can't get that notification before the sale happens.
Or if they don't have money.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I guess are they still doing cash transactions? I guess there's a reason to keep some cash on hand just in case you need to buy some fuel in an emergency situation.
It's always good to have $40-$50 in your pocket. Like that's just a prerequisite for my world, that you should always have like $40-$50 in your pocket just in case. That's your backup plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Although $40 or $50 ain't gonna make it too much fuel, but but I'm out of touch with that, not buying gasoline for over 10 years now. So it's just out of touch.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about this. Yes, speaking of power, Tesla has introduced a new incentive. If you purchase a vehicle in Texas before the end of the year, get this, you can get unlimited charging at your home for $5 a month.
Wow.
Even crazies that stay on the road still do at least 45% of the charging at home. So
exactly. So that is an unbelievable price. $5 per month, unlimited charging.
And this is $7 to fill the X from 0 to full.
Right. So it's something that typically here a single charge for my vehicle might be around somewhere between $4 or $5, depending on how much driving I do. But man, that price for the whole month, and it's good for a year. So you get 12 months of that. That's the incentive they're running currently in Texas. And of course, it has to be a neighborhood where you live in Texas that's serviced by Tesla, so they can get that power to you. There's a couple of different co-ops in Texas, and some of them don't qualify. So you'd have to qualify with the Tesla showroom, just to talk to them and make sure that you qualify. But what a sweet deal if you could get it, for sure.
Yeah. Well, this is another good point, Lee. On these superchargers, when this happens, they lose connectivity if they don't have Starlink. They tend to go into free mode. So as long as they had power or had the battery backup, that would probably be their reaction, is to just give the electricity away. But also they have a step further. One, they've got your card on file, and two, the car will remember that it got a charge that wasn't on the account, and they could probably just retry it one more time. But there were, for a while, a couple stations that were just out of signal, and they would just give away electricity even though they had a charge listed on the entry.
Yeah, we've seen Tesla do that multiple times. When there's some emergency in an area, they just make all superchargers in that region free. And we've also seen them unlock the battery capacity in vehicles that are software limited.
Yep.
So somebody needs to tweet at Musk and get him to make it free in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, that's a great question by Slower Cuber. We've got the question coming up is, when will Texas let Tesla start selling cars within the state?
Yeah,
we ask this question every 2 years when they have a legislative session.
Yeah, exactly. Because you wouldn't want to overwork those legislators. Once every 2 years is about all they can take. This is a horrible thing that has continued to happen. Like Casey said, it's every 2 years. It only comes up. Be interested to see when that date is coming up. I got to believe it's within the next 6 months or so, because we haven't heard the story for about a year and a half, and we know it's every 2 years. So
we got excited last time because Abbott was hanging off of Elon's coattails, like we saw with this last political contest with Elon versus somebody else, and he called in a special session, which is in his power, and he's just never done it because they only come every 2 years. Why bother them? And we got excited, like maybe it's because this was right when Gigafactory Austin was getting ready to open or getting ready to break ground, one or the other. And we're like, oh, this is it. They're gonna prove all this cheerleading he's doing, right? It was for some like gun stuff, and then they left. They didn't even talk Tesla. I was like, what? You did it right there. It was such an opportunity.
Yeah, I don't want to get political, but Texas is very red, and with Musk's recent political outings, I think that might help in this area.
Maybe.
Yeah, we will see. But as Casey mentioned, we thought Abbott was on his side like last time, and we were all kind of shocked when it went by and wasn't even brought up for discussion. Right? So,
like they couldn't even say, "Well, you may like him, but we don't." No, it's not.
Oh man, crazy. Next, couple stories about some new megapacks that are going into play, and again, this is a huge win for Tesla Energy as they continue to roll out these new power setups. Arizona Power is one that has just put or is placing a 200 megawatt battery storage project into play, as well as North Texas has completed a project that is now coming online. So we've got the Arizona one that's being built. We've got the North Texas one that has been completed and is now ready to go. So this is the story, I believe, of 2025. We're going to see more and more of these megapack projects are being either constructed or being completed. Because the megapacks are really starting to flow out of the factory there in Nevada. It's we've seen many drone shots hovering over it, with the parking lots filling up with basically tractor trailer semi type size megapacks that are being shipped out in mass. So this is something that is going to be a continually developing story for Tesla Energy, and of course is going to be affecting Tesla's profitability, because it does take longer to get these set up, but you are selling, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of cells in these setups, and they all go out, much quicker than waiting for multiple cars. You're putting these packs, getting them set up, and loading them all up in that central factory, and then pushing out these units constantly. So it's something that Tesla is going to benefit from. Not even to mention the possibility that some of these setups are going to benefit from, say, AutoBidder, which Tesla will be able to use as well to buy low and sell high on the energy market. So this is going to be great news for Tesla financially as time goes along here.
And as the financial market does its ups and downs, this is a little more insulated from that because it's not, everybody needs a car in America to get around where they're going. But this is closer to their 30% target profit margin. They don't have to do as much to get the volume where they want when they want. They're back ordered for years, and each container that goes out represents money to them. So this is good all around, not just for the environmental, not just for what it does for everybody else, but it helps them obtain their other goals as well, which is good to see.
Right.
And then they put the one coming out in Shanghai, and who knows if they're going to build one of these in Germany as well.
I think back to the days where Elon got on Twitter and basically offered the first development for Australia and said he would guarantee it was in by a certain date or it was free of charge. And
like the old 3 minutes or less.
Exactly. Talk about a BOGO deal. But this is kind of interesting that I am sure now dozens of white papers have been written up based on these other installations that have happened now in multiple countries, even outside of North America, where they're comparing what was done before to the Megapack after it's been installed, and the cost analysis is, I am sure, profitable in all cases, if certainly different degrees based on what their power cost them previously. But to be able to now be a utility and say, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to need another peaker plant here, or we could go batteries. Well, I wonder how the batteries are working. They have so many resources to go to now to look up other utilities and other power companies that are currently using it. In fact, even in my neighborhood, there's a factory that uses megapacks to supplement the power because they have a draw on the power that typically would happen during peak hours of what the utility charges, and they've wanted to flatten out that curve as to what they pay so that they can keep 3 shifts working and not have to worry about paying triple or 5 times the amount for power during a certain shift. So they've gone and shaved that by buying their own megapacks, putting them in-house, and that now gets them over the hump of peak power time.
Yeah, and then you've got Tesla AI that's using them because not just because of the amount of draw they put on the grid, but because the way the grid performs was affecting their compute when you have as many computers as they have crunching on the. So they actually put theirs in not really as a peak shaver or a battery backup. It is a filter.
Just a buffer, right? Yeah. So the thing about this that I think is cool is we've covered how ERCOT in Texas has had really bad mismanagement. So bad that they've had winter outages and summer outages. And so, and these are during extreme environmental conditions, and people were literally dying because of exposure to cold or heat. And so this really helps stabilize the grid. And I think that's the most important aspect here. I'm glad Tesla's going to make money. I'm glad that they'll be able to energy arbitrage. But having a reliable grid is not just a nice to have, but sometimes a literal life or death decision.
I suspect we might start to see these at we might see a pack or two at each substation where land is super high voltage and goes into the neighborhood or city side voltages.
Well, let's face it, these 2 particular stories, which of course are in the comments if you want to see the stories we're quoting upon, but these particular 2 stories for Arizona and North Texas are doing exactly that, as Patrick has mentioned. They're trying to prevent their grid from going down. They know that they've got issues with demand at certain times, and they're putting these packs in to get them over those humps. And they were going to have to do it regardless, whether they were doing it with a peaker plant or something else. It was going to have to be done because the stats are showing them that during these particular areas, we're either browning out or we're getting close to complete blackout. And we have to supplement the system in order for the grid to stay stable across all of it. And of course, they're looking basically at the eye rate of their customers. If you're going brown out all the time or have rolling blackouts, you're going to have a lot of people upset with you, over and over and over. So you've got a plan for this. And as a smart utility, you're looking to smooth this whole thing out and build in some margin of a percentage of buffer that you know that as your customers grow based on what your stats show, that you are not going to be facing the brownout at any near time. You're
Right.
looking to smooth all these curves out and try to make things stable and predictable for future ratepayers.
So there's another consideration there with the megapack versus, or megapack farm versus peaker plant is that you need a staff for the peaker plant, unless it's just a giant truck generator. But then, did you really need a peaker plant if it was an unmanned unit? And so you've got the fuel, the maintenance, the fact that they are not able to spin up and spin down. They are, I mean, they can move compared to base load, but they're not good at moving. It takes them a while, and they don't like it. Whereas these batteries, they're just already there. They're solid state. Might have to do some monthly maintenance or something like that, but it's not. You don't need somebody there all the time. And if you pair it up with like wind or solar, or just soaking up the excess from your area, if you're in a nice solar or wind enabled area where your customers will already have it, and you just buffer it, this starts to make more and more sense as you look at all of the numbers. And
exactly.
One of the cheaper options, because there are competitors, but they typically aren't an all-in-one. Plug it in, you'll have a battery, then you'll have inverters, then you'll have and on and on and on. And we talked about the modular construction with the superchargers. Was it last week before? This is the same thing. You crane them in, plug them in, and scat. Whereas those other ones, you got to build the pad, bring the batteries in, wire them to the inverter, program them. All the numbers start to add up on this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the supercharger pre-builds, right? You're just putting them all together as much as you can at the factory, making them like Lego bricks that you can plug them together at a site, and then reduce the amount of time that the utility has to do wiring or setup, and push them out as quickly as possible.
Yep. Sometimes that's approved. On you go. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I liked your point about peaker plants. They have a spin-up time, whereas batteries can respond in milliseconds. So they're good for frequency response issues. Before you even see a voltage lag, you can have the frequency will start to sag, and you can respond with batteries right away, support the grid, and not have to go through the whole 2 minutes of brownout where you could have equipment damage before the generators have spun up and can start contributing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, I guess you could say this is early days still. We've got a number of these plants that are up and running, or sites, but the utilities are still learning. They're still looking at what is working for them, how much is required, have they over or under bought based on what they see the changes in their grid happen. And there could be modifications that they're moving with based on that. And of course, as we've seen in Western Australia, they've looked at what has happened with their first site and have doubled and tripled up on the size of it based on the successes that they've seen with the first plants or sites. So we are certainly still early days, and people are still adjusting based on what they see happen in their own sites or looking at white papers from others.
Yep.
Looks like Slow Cuber has some electrical engineering background, talking about real power and imaginary power. It's the easiest way to do the sign calculations and to avoid all the trig. But yeah, so that's interesting.
That's true. Yeah, they can also pretend to be an inertial energy. They can pretend they're spinning up and spinning down, just like because they can emulate that with how big the batteries are.
Yeah. And not many people know outside of the electrical industry how much real balancing there is in the grid. There's a lot of computerization and programs that are keeping the grid stable, and it has to be, you have to be generating and delivering almost at the same time in order for the grid to be stable. And certainly batteries help with that a great deal. As Patrick mentioned, can respond in milliseconds as opposed to seconds. And that is a huge consideration when you're trying to balance a grid the size and scale of what we have here in North America and certainly Europe as well.
Yeah, I was watching a tour of a data center, and they mentioned that they have big batteries that can get them through a couple minutes, like 15 to 30, maybe an hour. Basically, it was just enough to get them through time to turn on their generators, but it also allowed them a connection to their utility where they could not just regular load check, but like, hey, we need you to please dial back to 50% or turn off entirely because we're having trouble keeping up with air conditioners. Or you talked about having to balance it delicately. That if you take this off for the monthly generator test, they could cause an overage of supply, which would also be bad. So when they're running their tests, they have to prearrange them with the utility and say, hey, this is take them all off so we don't waste all that gas or diesel, whatever, and so that you're also aware that we're going to take off so many megawatts off the grid.
Yeah.
On Tuesday at 7.
There's a huge water battery going into play in British Columbia, Canada. They're building a number of dams upstream from a current dam to store more and more water in reservoirs that aren't being used landwise for others. But what they're doing is they know exactly when there's the surplus of energy, and are using that point to kick on their pumps to pump the water from the lower part of the river into the reservoir, and then they hold it and store it. And then when Vancouver runs into the heat wave and they've got all the air conditioners running at 3:30 in the afternoon, then they reverse it, let the water flow out of the reservoir through the hydroelectric dam, collect the energy, put it to the grid, and things run that way all the way to the evening again, or they reverse it again. And this has been so successful for British Columbia Hydro that they've now decided that they're pushing forward with another 2 dam projects being pushed up further up the river. In fact, they're one of the most renewable provinces in Canada, and certainly if you compare them to U.S. states as well.
Yeah. That one you're talking about, did they mention if it was closed or open loop, where when they use it, does it go straight back into the river, or does it go into the holding area that they can use it again?
They have the option of doing either or.
Oh, cool. So hybrid. Sweet.
Yeah. So kind of cool. Well, I think we will wrap it up for this evening. Certainly appreciate everyone being with us here. If you haven't already, please give us that check mark. The thumbs up would be appreciated. Press that subscribe if you haven't already. That would help us out immensely as well. And with that, let's go to shout outs. Casey, what do you got for us?
On Friday, you can catch us at the Tesla Life Express Edition 1. And then on Sunday, you can catch us over at youtube.com/CaseyGreen or on X, but YouTube. And we'll talk about similar topics, but a little more. It's Tesla's not in the name. We covered some Tesla, but like this, but more. And then on Monday, come back here for the second edition of the Tesla Life Express, and then on Wednesday, 1 week from now, catch you live right here, where it'll be just Thursday for Mark and the day before the feast.
Thanksgiving's coming up, people. For some of us, others call that Thursday, but we can go. You
can have a second Thanksgiving.
You can tell that I may just call it Thursday, but okay. Patrick, what do you got for shout-outs?
As usual, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels. And I've got something coming out on Sunday that we have talked about on this show. So if you're interested, check it out on Sunday, carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Will do. We want to thank Lee Moon for the music we use every week. And with that, I think we'll roll the music. And we will get together next time and find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive, test negative.